Fine. There's one case to be made for the Arizona Cardinals drafting Jeremiyah Love at 3. Yeah, there's one. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast platform. Jam show today. Lot to discuss from many different angles. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Familiar face coming back to the desert, Terrell Austin, defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers since 2022, was a DB coach for the Arizona Cardinals during their Super Bowl run, is back in the Valley. That is a big, big boost for this defense. I'll explain why. Jimmy Garoppolo can't be a real possibility. And it's not like, oh no, if the Cardinals sign him, that's bad. It's not, I mean, it is, but it's also not that for the angle that I want to discuss it today for part of next segment. But most importantly, and this may be looked at as counter-programming for what I've said from the mountaintops for 5 years, that the Arizona Cardinals need to draft offensive line in the first round. There's one instance where I could entertain Jeremiyah Love being the guy. One instance. And a lot of things have to happen, okay? It's got to be a Slumdog Millionaire kind of situation where everything needs to fall into place in the Cardinals' way to be able to leverage it as such to draft Jeremiyah Love with the #3 overall pick. For those who don't know, Jeremiyah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, he's looked at as the best player in this draft, the best player available. I talked for episodes about how best player available needs to be graded on a curve with, premium positions and not. Running back is deemed a non-premium position. A non-premium position. But one instance, the Cardinals quite literally bring in the best guard available and the best right tackle available. There are a slew of names. Okay? Giants, Browns, teams that have top 15 offensive lines from last year, they're losing dudes, cap casualties. And I know this isn't an ideal scenario. Obviously, you want to draft offensive line, which is what I've said forever, because not only do you not have to overpay for free agents like they did with Jonah Williams, but you also know that if that player was at the caliber of the money that they're set to make on the open market, their previous team would have retained them. Now, you got the outliers with Yalta Froholt. Very good outlier. Will Hernandez. Good outlier. Kelvin Beachum. And Kelvin Beachum was never, a Pro Bowler for this team, but the most cap-friendly production the Cardinals have had since they signed him. So you bring in 2 offensive linemen, namely a right tackle and a right guard, and then you bring in a pass rusher. So you fill 3 big positions of need at the positions that most people are saying the Cardinals should go with at 3. I'm doing this as an exercise. I'm not saying this is the best way to build a roster. But like I talked about yesterday, this is a 2-year plan, but it's not like, the Cardinals can't really make any sort of impact this year at all. They've got to wait for 2027. That's not the case. This isn't 2023, where you had to field a roster of people when the overturn was it was over 50% from 2022 season. It's not that by any stretch. The Cardinals had real playoff aspirations last year. They were derailed by bad play and injuries. Coaching, sure, it was everything. You want to do the blame pie thing? I'm not going to do it again. But if the Cardinals are intentional this offseason, laying the building blocks in place, then they can explode in 2027 with another offseason like that. They'll have plenty of money to spend. Kyler Murray will pretty much be off the books, and they're going to have, new quote-unquote issues with Paris Johnson Jr. and Garrett Williams, Michael Wilson. So I've only named 2 of the 3 things that must happen to validate drafting Jeremiyah Love. And this one is going to be counterintuitive to what people would like to see in the backfield. You can't bring in Malik Willis. And it's not because it's Malik Willis for this one. It's the price tag that comes with it. And lo and behold, the market is starting to correct itself already over the last week, where now he's projected to get $20 million a year instead of $30, the 3-year, $100 million contract that people think he should get. What are we doing? I know it's no harm, no foul for the Cardinals. You got the money to spend, but what if you didn't? What if you bring in 2 offensive linemen, use that Malik Willis money to go get the best pass rusher or 2 that you can get a veteran corner, and roll with Jacoby Brissett? And this isn't even a Jacoby Brissett segment at all. It just is happenstance that he's the least expensive option for the Cardinals right now from a pay scale standpoint. So you can see for me how far-fetched it is that any sort of validation would be made to bring in Jeremiyah Love at the third overall pick. That's all the things that need to happen to where you can look at it and be like, okay. I mean, at least you've got somebody that can block on the right side of the line. He'll be electric. He'll help the offense. It'll be good for Mike LaFleur. You can run your zone read offense, your zone run offense that Mike LaFleur is going to run through Sean McVay. You've got your pass catchers. You've got a young defense with some elevated pieces from the veteran perspective from the pass rushers that you brought in with the money that you didn't have to give Malik Willis. That's how you do it. But the problem is, with all of that, it's not as sustainable as if you just draft a right tackle, draft a pass rusher, sign a couple guys, but don't have them come in and be like, okay, these are going to be the starters, and then you hope that they stay healthy. You hope that they level up to the number that they're getting, and you don't miss out on an opportunity to draft Francis Maui-Noah, where he goes somewhere else and he thrives at the right tackle position. So it's messy if you want to draft Jeremiyah Love. The counterpoint to, you bring in Malik Willis, you draft Jeremiyah Love, and then you have Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Jeremiyah Love, and Malik Willis, who, he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in football. That's great for the 10 minutes he's been on a field. So you have that offense, and that's fine. But then you bring in a B- C+ right tackle, you run it back with Isaiah Adams, and Malik Willis has no time to throw the ball. It doesn't matter how good the cake is. If you don't know how to bake it, it doesn't matter. The realization that, we discussed yesterday was that the Cardinals need to be intentional this offseason and in the draft naturally. This isn't 2023 all over again. And it's not a retool either. It's a rebuild, but it's a rebuild on the fly. And that's not saying it's going to be rushed. That's not saying it's going to be done without level head. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means it's going to be clunky. And you got to see what you got to see with Walter Nolan and Will Johnson and the other guys who got injured. They released ADG, Akeem Davis-Gaither. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Mac Wilson and Cody Simon. I'm assuming they'll draft an off-ball backer this offseason and bring one in free agency. But I think that they've got what they need with Mac Wilson. They've got what they need. Cody Simon played average to slightly above average football last year when Mac went down. So when you look at Jeremiyah Love and you look at all of the needs the Cardinals have ahead of that, just in a pure roster construction standpoint, you got to bring in 2 free agent offensive linemen, right tackle, and then you'd think a right guard or left guard. You got to bring in a pass rusher, and you can't sign Malik Willis because you got to use that money to bring in the pass rush and the offensive line help. And then, for all the Jeremiyah Love stands out there at 3, you could get me on board to getting your guy, even though I think it's idiocy at its finest to draft a running back in the top 5. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. There's one name that I didn't mention who's in the mix, but shouldn't be, but not with anything having to do with the Cardinals control or anything like that, but it does have to do with the Cardinals situation. I'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. Listen, I use the Game Time app, no joke, 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I used the Game Time app. And I know that we live in a world where we can stream anything, order food in minutes, and carry supercomputers in our pockets. And somehow, buying tickets to a live game still feels complicated. Hidden fees, jumping prices, endless steps. There has to be a better way, and that's why I use the Game Time app. It gives fans the advantage of making and getting tickets simple, whether it's NFL, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into, or the NBA, like I did. My dad's coming into town this weekend. We're going to see the Suns play the up-and-coming Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple. It's going to be awesome. So I talked to my dad. I'm like, yep, I'll get the tickets. I went right to the Game Time app. I looked at the lower bowl a little bit. I'm like, okay, so I'm not a millionaire, so I can't get, courtside seats. But I found a great section, a great row, and I had never sat in that section or row before. So I clicked on the little bubble on the app. And as I've said for years with Game Time on these live reads, I took my phone like this sideways, and you sway it left and right so you can see the vantage point of your seats before you buy them. I quite literally did that 2 days ago. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Down the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Join the Everydayers Club. Got more people trickling in. Starting to have fun conversations every day, and free agency is here. And so are we. Get 1 month free of Everydayers Club with code FREEAGENCY. No spaces now through March 15th. Go ad free and keep this conversation going on Discord. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's okay. It's okay. It's a super easy app platform to use, and we follow you through. We've got a dedicated team that helps people once they sign up. Figure it out. All you have to do is go to lockedoncardinals.supercast.com. Yeah, it's fun. So join me. One thing that's not fun is the conversation surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Cheryl, you get your shout out, okay? There is a nice woman who has been commenting about Jimmy Garoppolo joining the Arizona Cardinals for over a month now. I was in denial. I obviously saw the connection. I know that he hasn't played a full year of football in 5 years. Okay. That could be various degree of reasons. Maybe it's because, when he was in San Francisco, he was around that power plant where everybody gets hurt. Who the hell knows? He played for 10 minutes with the Raiders, got hurt. Now he's been a backup, for the last couple of years. This is why Jimmy Garoppolo can't be a real possibility. Why would he leave the Rams? Like, seriously. What is one upside for him to leave the Rams if he's not told that he'll be the starter in 2026? Why would he leave? It's Sean McVay. You have a talented roster. Say, heaven forbid, Matthew Stafford gets hurt. Jimmy Garoppolo goes in and has an all-star team to throw the ball to with one of the best receivers in football. I know they've got Trey McBride, but the built-out roster offensively that the Rams have with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams and Devontae, Colby Parkinson, like Terrence Ferguson, they've got dudes. And they've got a good defense. And they were one game away from going to the Super Bowl last year. So why would he leave? Why would he leave? Now, to my point for the last segment, if you want Jeremiyah Love, you may have to take Jimmy G as the starter. I don't see a world where they'd give him like more than $10 million for 1 year. Like this has Sam Bradford stuff written all over it. This has 2018 written all over it, baby. When Jimmy Garoppolo's been healthy, he's been an effective and efficient quarterback. He has an issue with the dropsies a little bit, but Jacoby Brissett apparently did too. Not apparently, he has over his career with fumbles. He held on the ball pretty much all year last year. Outside of, I think, Indianapolis, he fumbled one. I can't remember. He fumbled a couple last year, but for the amount of times he got hit, not bad. But, I mean, for me, it's like, why would Jimmy Garoppolo leave? For a chance to compete for a starting job with a team that won 3 games last year? I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, the Rams just traded for Trent McDuffie. Like, they are constantly, Les Snead is constantly in upgrade mode. And the Cardinals are walking in molasses. As slow as molasses. Do people walk in molasses? Probably not. Probably that'd be messy. That's the biggest thing for me. But if you are a Jeremiyah Love guy, root for Jimmy Garoppolo to come here. Because I'd be remiss to think that he wouldn't be coming here. He would be coming here not to back somebody up. And there are now rumblings surrounding Jacoby Brissett being tied to the Jets, where it's him and one other quarterback as the odds-on favorite. Like these are proverbial. Like these aren't like book odds, but it's like the front runners to be the starter week 1 for the Jets. Who would have thought we'd be in a world where Jacoby Brissett is more valued than Kyler Murray on the trade market? I know the money's completely different, but that's a trip. It's a trip. So with Jimmy Garoppolo, that's why I don't see it. It can't be a real possibility, right? I've been in this situation before. I'm like, there's no way the Cardinals would do that, right? Like, there's just no shot. There's just no shot. Like, why would they? It's like, well, Cheryl, bless your heart. I don't know. My brain's in a blender right now because you're trying to decide between Jacoby Brissett, Malik Willis, and Jimmy Garoppolo. You couldn't be picking 3 more different storylines as to how 2026 could go for this team. Between $20 and $30 million a year for a guy who started 11 games in 4 years, who the tape bros say, watch the film, bro. He's a starter. Okay. Green Bay and Matt LaFleur is a different planet than Mike LaFleur and the Cardinals. It's a different planet. So if you go that route, I don't know if that means that Jimmy G has a better chance of coming here. Like, what you don't want. This is what you don't want. Is Jacoby Brissett to get traded to the Jets or whoever. Like, that's not, if he gets traded, he gets traded. But then your plan is sign Malik Willis and Jimmy Garoppolo. Malik Willis struggles in camp. You're forced to start him because you're paying him. And then Jimmy Garoppolo starting week 5 and hoping that he's better than Malik Willis. That's the nightmare fuel. That's the 2018 version. The Cardinals will be better than 2018, regardless. For those who don't remember, it was Sam Darnold, Mike Glennon, and they drafted Josh Rosen. They were so out of touch that Josh Rosen, I think it was week 2 or week 3, his first action as an NFL quarterback was in a 1-score game during the 2-minute drill with 2 minutes left in the game. That's how bad 2018 was. They scored less points per game than the 2008 Detroit Lions, who went 0-16 that year. So it's not going to be that, but it has rumblings and makeup of that. And I just can't buy it. I just can't buy it. Maybe it's me just being like clinging on to anything that that seems stable in my quote life when it comes to talking about this team from the quarterback position. It's like, just keep Jacoby. It'll be fine. It's not going to be perfect, but I'd rather roll with him than Jimmy Garoppolo. And you know what? I'd love to eat my words. I'd love to eat my words if Malik Willis is good, because if he's good, the Cardinals got him for pennies on the dollar and you've got your franchise quarterback. I would love for Malik Willis to be good. Like, pining for it. What a gift that would be. Not just a money thing for the first 2 years, but you've got your guy. You thought you had your guy. He went elsewhere. You've got your guy now who was an afterthought for 4 years. It would be Disneyland fairy tale stuff. It'd be amazing. But I'm scared that they move off from Jacoby Brissett. Malik Willis comes in. They sign Jimmy G somehow away from the Rams where he's going to be back up there. And then Jimmy G beats Malik Willis out as the starter for this team. Nightmare fuel. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. The Arizona Cardinals defense gets a massive coaching boost from a familiar face. We'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is, well, a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with stacked papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now is in-person locations nationwide, and you can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. YouTube channel, Big Dumb Face every day, notifications. 50% of the people that watch aren't subscribed. Come on, man. Hook a brother up. The Cardinals get a boost on the defensive side of the ball. Terrell Austin, who is the DB coach for the Arizona Cardinals when they went to the Super Bowl, has been the DC for the Pittsburgh Steelers since 2022. 61 years old. That's not an ageist thing to say. I say that as a compliment. The Cardinals desperately need as much experience as you possibly can get. This is a home run. This is a home run, dude. Like, there's no world, in my opinion, and I'll go over some numbers in a second. There's no world that if Mike Tomlin was still head coach of the Steelers, that Terrell Austin would leave. I just can't see it. There's no way. Like, with Mike McCarthy coming in, they're going to change it. Then he wants to bring in his own guys, which makes sense. Obviously, it happens with every coaching staff for the most part, except for the Cardinals with Nick Rallis. Terrell Austin, let's go over some numbers quickly. So he was the DC in Detroit from 2014 to 2017. 2014, 17.6 points per game, top 5. 2015, 25 points per game, that's 23rd in the league. 22.6 in 2016, which was good for 13th. And 23.5, which was 21st in most points allowed. So not good, not bad, kind of in the middle, outside of 2014, which was excellent. These numbers are fascinating. 2022, 10th in points allowed at 20.4. 2023, 19.7 points allowed. That's good. That was good for 8th in the league. 2024, they gave up 20.8 points per game, which was 7th. In 2025, this past season, he had 23.2 points per game, which was 17th. For context, the Arizona Cardinals have given up an average of 26 points per game in those 4 years. So he's going to be a counsel to the defensive side of the ball. He's not going to supplant Nick Rallis. It may be an ascension plan if Nick Rallis doesn't work and you move Terrell Austin in to be DC. I have a rule in this space. Anybody that comes from the Baltimore defensive side, Pittsburgh's defensive side, Houston's defensive side, Denver's like, there are certain teams where it's like, bring them. I don't care. Bring them. Cardinals need that. Bring them. The Cardinals haven't given up less than 20 points per game since 2015. They gave up 22 points per game 2 years ago. Okay, so not terrible. They gave up a bunch this year, with all the injuries and everything. So Nick Rallis, like in that crux year before everything went catastrophically wrong last year, they were fine. 22 points a game is good. That's winning football. That's winning football. And to bring a guy in, I know they haven't won any playoffs or anything since he's been there, but the Steelers are an institution. The Steelers are an institution. And the fact that Terrell Austin has that background with the DBs is massive for this young DB group also. I think this is a home run. And it's a home run grading on a curve, naturally, because it's not like they signed a free agent quarterback that's going to take them to the Super Bowl in 2 years, or they got a home run DC that is going to immediately make an impact. But the latter of the two could very well happen if Nick Rallis doesn't, if he doesn't step up this year. You could be looking at your DC and waiting. I wonder if this is how coaching construction happens with normal teams. And again, I don't know. I'm going to get Chris Carter from Locked On Steelers at some point. He's a busy dude. I'm going to get him on to talk about Terrell Austin, and that'll be some riveting conversation. That's something that I just want to get more info. The age thing is great he's been in football forever. He played in the league for a couple years. I think it was 3 different teams. But all in all, like, yeah, it's been tough watching the coaching staff get built out. Took a while. Michael LaFleur came here for 2 days, didn't get an offer, and then everybody was waiting for the Raiders to make their choice, and then Michael LaFleur took this job. Nathaniel Hackett, TBD, and Nick Rallis being retained while still under contract we'll see. But I think bringing Terrell Austin in can do nothing but help this young defense. And I think this is going to be a massive benefit for them. So, like, all in all, the Jeremiyah Love thing, in summation, was more of an exercise to show all of the things that needed to happen to not only bolster the defensive and offensive line predominantly, to be able to withstand and block for Jeremiyah Love, but also the allocation of funds that couldn't be given $25 or $30 million to Malik Willis when you had to spend that money elsewhere. And you just roll with Jacoby Brissett. Again, Jacoby Brissett is not the best option of all of them. Okay? Jacoby Brissett went 1-11. I know. I was watching, pulling my hair out. That's not to say that if you allocate funds elsewhere, if for $20 million, you could bring in 2 pass rushers. For $20 million, you could bring in a right tackle and a pass rusher. Per year, obviously. Be 10 year, 10 and 10. It's what they want the future of this roster to be. If they want to take a shot on Malik Willis, great. Again, over and over and over, I will say, if the receipts are here and I say it's a terrible move and it works, I will love that. I would love for Malik Willis to come in and work and be a Pro Bowler and really be able to utilize this offense, especially down the field with Trey McBride, Marv, and Michael Wilson. The sample size just scares me after 4 years. But overall, the Cardinals have options. I feel like they'll have a plan, and I will discuss this more next week. You know what? I'm going to do it this afternoon or this evening because we have the Cardinal Squad show at 4 o'clock today. I'll do it for my 10-minute double dip tonight about how Monty Ossenford doesn't need to take any chances. He just needs to build the roster and continue to grow the talent on this roster, and he'll have a job in 2027. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you on the Cardinal Squad show today at 4, and then after for my double dip. Bye.